talk to him about what you were telling me about how you've converted. No, not really converted. Just how you've come along in the space.
Well, it's like I met Jordan, through like I told him I had a pinched nerve, and so he's like, oh, I knew he was a physical trainer, but I didn't know he did the fascia, the fascia release stuff. I had heard about it a little bit from a friend, so I have a roller at home. I already had a roller. I knew a little bit about the fascia stuff through the Anthony Crystal guy. Yeah. So like, my friend's mom comes home. She's got a roller. So my friend, this was just last year, right? So and then my friend comes home and he actually cut a bunch of PVC pipes. He put a bunch of like Cleveland Cavalier socks over him, which that's the one part I didn't like about it. Yeah. But and he passed them out to everybody. I'm like, oh, that's a pretty cool thing. So I'm at home. I would do it sometimes, but it hurts like a mother, right? So I wouldn't do it that much. I didn't understand that much. I saw a couple of videos. I came and went, right? And then I saw you a few months ago, and I had a new injury, right? I have the pinched nerve in my neck, right here on the right side of my neck. And my doctor is telling me, okay, well, we better MRI it. We MRI it, and I've got this bulging disc, and apparently, like in between the discs, right, there's this jelly-like stuff that bulges out. The MRI suggests that it's touching my spinal cord, right? So I'm like, they're like, dude, you might have to get surgery on it, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm like, dude, is there? My mindset is just like, is there anything I can do to not have, surgery number 4 in 4 years? Yeah. So I've already had 3 in 3 years. I don't want 4 in the 4th year. Hello, knock on wood. So I'm in this when I met Jordan a few months ago on the basketball court. As we were talking about it, he just kind of just showed me like what might be some things, messing it up. So I was already going to the doctor. I was going to physical therapy. It's all official with the, they're in the office and you're getting referred to by the doctor, and they've got the big room with the big yoga balls, and they've got the, all the equipment and the stretchy things, and everything's all, everything's all professional. But then I'm going, and I just feel like I don't feel the relief. I'm kind of wondering if I'm going to get the relief. I started to explain, like I had like these pains in, under my rib and my armpit. I'm like, is that a weird question? I've got stuff on my shoulder blade. I just feel like there's all this stuff that has nothing to do with the neck.
And he couldn't even explain it away.
Well, he was just like, I guess, but it's almost like you can hear the gears going like, well, I'll charge you another session for that. I don't know if I'm going to get to that. Let me just deal with your neck. So it's all neck stuff, right? Yeah. All neck stuff. So your theory was like, dude, it's not just the neck. It's the head, the shoulder blades, the rib cage, the chest, there's all these things connected, because it's not just about the thing itself, it's about this thing called fascia, in which all the stuff sort of is inside of, right? The fascia connecting the muscle to the muscle. So I started I'm like, okay, for just that first day, I already felt like you acknowledged some of my already thoughts of like, I know I'm not a doctor, but what about all this other shit that seems connected?
Yeah,
right? So,
exactly.
I don't know, in the end, when you said it might be, and you told me, and you started to work on those parts, and then slowly, it was kind of a slow process, and that's the hard part.
That's right.
Because the first couple of times, it's like, I'm out of this guy's garage. There's no Xerox machine.
There's all the stretchy shit.
Right. Yeah. So it's like, there is this thing in this society where guy with white coat in office versus guy in his garage, who does, you're making more sense, and you're catering to what I wanted to hear at first, right? So I was interested, but it's a little scary, but in the end, it's just like, I stuck it out. There's just something in me that says these pains are coming from something. So I started to, read more, watch more videos. And then it's just about getting, catching the bug, where you go if this is something, right? You got to get past that first hurdle of why isn't anybody talking about this?
So how far has it brought you?
I mean, bottom line is this: I'm getting results here. And
Plus, you play basketball,
right? So I'm testing it. I'm testing it all the time, right? So, but it's just everything. I realized through the pinched nerve, I realized it's the shoulder. It's connected to the rib, which is connected to the hip, which affects the IT band. Connected to the back of my knee, my Achilles, which goes back to my, my injury, my plantar fasciitis, all this crap, right? Yep. And so I guess the excitement is just realizing that there's all this stuff, that may not be in the what your doctor's telling you even.
Yeah.
May not even be in the. It's like the bottom line is, well, they're just like citing me the stuff. Okay, do this stretch.
That's right.
Come back next week. Touch your toes. Take a picture of yourself. Come back next week. I mean, it's like you're still in pain. I'm still getting tingling. I was getting electrical shocks down my arm, and so that's totally reduced. Not zero, but it's way, way, way less. And I totally can feel that is being affected by not just by my neck.
And plus, you're headed in the right direction.
Yeah.
And you had an accident, right?
Right. Oh, that's another huge thing. Yeah. So I had an accident in 2003. So that's like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And I broke my clavicle, and the doctor at the time did tell me that it's like shortening my clavicle about an inch. So it's like an inch shortening. And healed wrong, but it's like there's like, oh well, stretch. Try to exercise it.
Yeah.
Don't let your shoulder freeze. Calm it in.
Yep.
It's basically once you hit a certain age, your doctor's like, look, man, are you dying? I don't care. Get out of my office.
So they didn't give you. So they just diagnosed it as the shoulder.
Yeah, right. So, but not even that. It was just almost just like, look, call me if there's pain, but if there's not, whatever. But I don't. This is the whole thing that Jordan was talking about, how like everything's connected. Is that you start to realize that the shortening of this means there's a pulling of this, which will then affect this. This, and then it's all connected, and
Plus the repercussions of that accident.
Right.
The throwing of the head.
That's another thing too. And then the connection that perhaps this pinched nerve, right at the spot that it is, perhaps that's an old injury.
Exactly.
From when I first landed on this left shoulder, 65 miles per hour onto the road after falling off of my bike. Bah! Snap.
That's right.
But I've never thought about this, right? So I still don't know if it's official, but it's interesting if you kind of think about it. If that was the cause of this,
you'd have to be the strongest person on the planet to hold your head and still.
Right, and not have the damage, right? So,
exactly.
To me, it's likely that there's some damage here. I've got and I've got all these knots, in the places that you think you would have them.
Exactly.
As this motion happens, right? And so, it's just interesting. A lot of stuff, right? Where like, I was feeling the pain on my right side, and Jordan would then work on the left side. I'm like, why would you do that? I don't feel that. And then I'm like, oh my God, there's this huge knot or whatever that I didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
And then you explain how, and this side, it can affect this side, to where the more painful side is it's the symptom, not the cause, right?
That's right.
So I don't know, all this stuff to me is just stuff I wasn't getting going the traditional way, right? The traditional doctor way. So I don't know if that's everybody's experience or what, but it is interesting.
Plus, one really big thing is I directed you to a video.
Right.
And what that video is hugely enlightening.
Right.
Because it's telling you about the fact that fascia is the largest organ in your body.
Right.
It's 70% water.
That's a huge factor, because the fact that the fascia has just recently been recognized as the largest organ, where it was the skin. The fact that that's recent kind of lends to the question, why does nobody know about this? Because the whole thing is still very recent.
That's right.
If all of science just figured out that, no, wait a minute, fascia, that counts. That's something.
No kidding.
So because I know it's so recent, I understand why, like, what we're dealing with here is kind of like in the Wild Wild West a little bit.
That's right. That's exactly
so
right.
there's a little bit of a faith thing going, like, you know what, I'm going to just trust my common sense here. Like, it's working. I'm feeling the mobility come back. I literally felt like this tightness here that I couldn't look certain ways, and that's gone, like 90-something% gone. And so now it's just like,
The biggest thing about that video is that half those people are all PhDs. All of them are PhDs.
Right.
And they all changed their process to start working on fascia alone.
Right.
And the reason most people go, why is it the doctors don't know about these things? Because a cadaver, they took all the fascia out. In fact, the researchers were so elated that they had done such a great job of getting rid of all the fascia.
It's so
you can see all the organs, because you can't see anything with fascias in the way.
Right.
So in the process, until about 2013-14, got a larger recognition, and now in that larger recognition, all universities are doing research on fascia.
Right. It's like coming into the manger scene and getting rid of the baby because the Lord is coming soon.
Exactly. That's exactly.
Move that baby. Jesus is coming.
Exactly. And it's the same thing. We don't even know the area that I'm working in now, I've still never seen anything related
Yeah.
to it. That's why.
I think that's what's exciting is that somehow you have to just tell yourself, I know some of this is experimental. And
Yeah.
like, so what?
It is-
So what?
that's
Like,
right.
bottom line is I'm trying to get healed. I want to be free. And it's hard to consider the fact that maybe the traditional medicine or doctor way isn't necessarily always the way. That's the hard part
Exactly.
to swallow.
Okay, that's good. Especially that part.